stuff people don't see firsthand. You're out there, you're witnessing it.
You feel it later. To try not to feel it in the moment just so you can be professional can sometimes be difficult.
Mandatory evacuation in place. It is moving pretty rapidly. It is a serious threat.
I want to tell stories. I want to be able to help people and get the word out.
There you go.
Well, you know, some days you get city council, other days you get stories where your adrenaline is just going and you got to keep your head on a swivel.
We're here to do a service and to give them the facts and the information of what took place.
Are you going to resign?
Every day is different.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Michelle Villa, guilty.
I don't know a lot of times if I'm going to be in the courthouse or if I'm going to be out on the street covering a different story, and it happens. And if something breaks that's major out there, all bets are off. I mean, you could be covering one story and it changes to a whole different story.
Just being able to do a variety of different things is very unique. We're out there getting information, and it's very interesting to see how things are done.
We don't always have a reporter in hand, so we gotta do what they do sometimes and fill in. And guess what? Sometimes that's when you get your best stories.
It's kind of like the camera is taking you into this little slice of someone's life.
Physically demanding, have to be able to go, you know, on our feet for long days.
It can be very long, challenging days, but it is also pretty cool.
You will work long hours, but if you really enjoy what you do, you're going to get the benefit out of it every single day.
We are the ones that stand for the little guy, those that don't feel like they have any power, and we can use our resources to help tell their stories and hopefully bring justice to what was unjust.
Good evening and welcome to the 2022 KSAT Storytellers Behind the Lens special. I'm Melissa Cole. Tonight we showcase the talents of our KSAT photojournalists. Whether it's a fire, shooting, standoff, city hall, or military veteran receiving a new home, our talented staff of photojournalists have taken their craft and perfected it, all to bring you the images you see here on KSAT every day. Without those images and sounds, we couldn't tell you the stories that matter in our communities. These first two storytellers takes us up close and shows us what it was like to cover some intense training exercises, and a photographer who spends most of his time in the courts.
William Caldera, KSAT 12 photojournalist for 19 years. So my story is first responders training at Disaster City and College Station.
Due east of Disaster City, approximately 5 miles. Request you come inbound.
Gladiator 1, confirm.
They were practicing their helicopter hoist rescue skills.
Hey, car, I got 2 victims in the water. I got a rescuer going out there to try to help them.
Your right, 10 o'clock, you should see a yellow school bus. Call contact.
Which takes a lot of coordination from the first responders that are on the ground, the people that are controlling the air traffic space, up to the pilots and the people actually performing the hoist. One of my challenges was getting more than just the sound of the helicopters hovering and buzzing overhead. I needed something to help push the story along.
Customs and Border Protection Ground Tactical Air Controller, also known as GTAC.
You'll see GTAC. Basically, those are air traffic controllers that are coordinating the survivors and the rescuers.
Our job is to communicate with them, make sure there's airspace deconfliction, and it's our job to make sure they don't hit each other.
With the NATS package, you're really telling the story using the words of the people you interview. So they're telling their own story, and you got to gather all of the elements to help them tell that story, and having the air traffic control sound really helped me do that.
Measure 1, are you able to do a dynamic hoist? Pick up one, move him on the wire, drop him off, pick up another one. Same. Yes, they can do that. Measure 1, conduct dynamic hoisting at the Amtrak at this time. Good copy.
With the NATS package, you don't have a reporter or an anchor to fill in the gaps. So you really have to not only be creative, but you also have to work hard to get the natural sound that you're going to need to push the story along so that the viewer at home has an understanding of what they're seeing.
That needs to be hoisted out of there immediately. Priority, just a child. Priority child. Good copy. Priority child.
We will get called upon to support a state and local assets during a hurricane situation.
Much like we've seen in Hurricane Harvey many years back, we have federal assets and state assets working together to perform rescues.
We've been out here since 10 o'clock this morning. We're going to continue to stay out here until the last aircraft comes in and conducts the rescue. And that would be the same on responding to a national emergency.
For me, it was interesting to see the different agencies from all levels working together, because they know when they get called upon, they are going to use these same techniques to go save lives in the real world when the next disaster strikes.
My name is Steven Chavez. I've been at KSAT for 3 years.
Those ranks, heads!
The story we did was basic military training at Lackland Air Force Base for the Air Force. So these new recruits are coming in, and they started their basic training there at Lackland Joint Base San Antonio.
Heads! Head, tap, tape, tape!
On this drill pad, they're out here approximately 5 to 6 hours a week doing drill, if not more.
We saw in a nutshell what the culmination was for 13 weeks of their life was going to be, and how they started coming in, getting off the bus, and getting all their gear.
Training recruits learned everything from the airmen's role in Air Force missions.
Oh, place your weapon above your head! No!
To basic expeditionary airman skills and training, also known as BEAST.
Alarm yellow. I repeat, alarm yellow.
Alarm yellow.
So this exercise, this is a culmination of every single thing that the trainees have learned out in basic training.
To hitting the stage and graduating and being reunited with their family who haven't seen them. These recruits come from all across the country, and they come here to San Antonio to see what they did and what they were learning. And with all this happening in our backyard was really telling as to what San Antonio has done for the country.
It's an early morning start at Lackland Air Force Base. Hundreds of families and friends gathering from across the country to see their loved ones graduate from the United States Air Force basic military training.
We were able to kind of see both ends of the full 13-week process.
And to the beat of drums, flight by flight, they march tall in review. This is the moment these young men and women strongly reassert their oath of enlistment. They've officially gone from trainees to airmen.
The story kind of told itself.
I, American Airman, guarding the freedom and justice.
And we were just there to capture it. We saw them in their element, on the training grounds, running these drills, doing what they need to do to be prepared for when they get shipped off. Seeing them in their element told the story.
They've already learned their base defense skills, which we call FEST, TCCC, which is how they treat a combat casualty.
A realistic forward operating base environment where they practice wartime readiness skills, also receiving Air Force nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare training.
Seeing them run around, carry dummies, being armed, full gear, tactical, using gas masks, to running drill, to being prepared to run their regular drills. Seeing the sights and hearing the sounds kind of just did everything. It made my job easier to when I went to go edit, I could just put it all together and make a story out of it.
And without further ado, families and friends take to the retreat pad for the highly anticipated tapping out.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
Anxiously looking for their airmen to tap them on the shoulder and reunite. These men and women accomplishing something most Americans will never do.
These servicemen and women miss out on birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, and what have you, to be able to serve for our military, for our country. So to see them reunite and just the stronghold that these families had for each other was simply amazing to see.
My name is Misael Gomez, photojournalist here at KSAT for 35 years. I normally cover the courthouse 90% of the time. I love covering the courthouse.
The owner of the popular Taco Land bar, Ramiro Ram Ayala, and his bartender, Douglas Morgan, were shot to death during a summer night armed robbery.
It's interesting to see a story finish after you see it start on the street and hear the details come out of the full story. Going to Huntsville and going to Livingston, where death row is at, the Polunsky unit was really interesting because it's the finality in a ways for a lot of the people there. We gotta mic you up. You don't get any contact with the inmates. You have to hand the microphone to the warden and they take it back around the back.
Just run it underneath.
They have to mic themselves up, and they are behind a glass wall.
Yeah, just put it on your lap there so it doesn't show. Yeah.
You can't talk to them. You got to pick up a phone to talk to them, and everything is done behind a screen, and they are in a cubicle that is secure and locked with a metal gate behind them.
Perfect. I had nothing to do with this crime.
But it's also fascinating to hear their story from their angle of how it happened. And in this case, covering Joseph Gamboa, he's hoping to get another trial. He believes he's innocent, that they have the wrong person.
Over and over throughout our entire interview, Joseph Gamboa denying taking part in the 2005 murders and robbery at Taco Land on West Grayson Street. He does admit being there with his friend Jose Nájera the night of the murders, but leaving before anything happened.
I was there. I never denied being there. I was there, and I played a game of pool, bought a beer, and left. And that was it.
Evidence and eyewitness accounts told a different story. Gamboa and Nájera entered the bar and began playing pool. But then Gamboa got into an argument with owner Ramiro Ram Ayala and shot him in the stomach. The two men then proceeded to rob the bar and shoot two other employees, Doug Morgan, who died of his injuries, and Denise Koger, who survived. Gamboa says that there were inconsistencies with the police investigation and that his trial in 2007 and appeal for retrial in 2013 were unfair and that Koger had misidentified him.
She gives an inaccurate identification of the person that did the crime. You know what I'm saying? I'm not 5'8". I'm not 5'7", 190 pounds.
Gamboa's accomplice Jose Nájera pled guilty to this crime and took a plea deal for 50 years. He died in prison in July 2015.
The interesting thing about courts now is that we're live streaming, which is kind of unheard of as of a few years ago. Now we are showing everybody what it's like to see a case in person from your house.
When we return, one of our photojournalists introduces us to an artist who caught his eye while out on assignment, plus a photographer's perspective who was there the day of the tragic event in Uvalde. You're watching the 2022 KSAT Storytellers Behind the Lens.
In 2020 alone, there were nearly 150,000 crashes involving large trucks and buses in the U.S. Accidents with 18-wheelers can be catastrophic for drivers. If you were injured in an 18-wheeler accident, call Thomas J. Henry. Thomas J. Henry handles serious trucking cases and gets serious results for injured clients. Call today. Thomas J. Henry is available 24/7, nights and weekends.
This holiday season, unwrap a new career by starting your training for a heating, ventilation, and air conditioning technician. Southern Careers Institute offers training for a rewarding career in the HVAC industry in as little as 9 months. Plus, up to $4,500 in grants are available for students who qualify. The new year is the perfect time to jumpstart your career training as an HVAC technician. New classes start January 9th. Visit scitexas.edu today. Southern Careers Institute. Give yourself an education today.
Methodist Healthcare provides world-class expert care for everyone who calls San Antonio home. Our hospitals care for more people in more ways than any other healthcare system in the region. We are the leaders in cancer care, robotic surgeries, and home to the largest heart care program in South Texas. When it comes to selecting care for you and your family, expertise matters. That's why more San Antonians choose Methodist Healthcare than anywhere else.
An opportunity to get your criminal record clean free of charge is happening in Bexar County, and we'll tell you all those details coming up tonight on the Night Beat.
You've been charged with a misdemeanor felony. You can qualify for an expunction, but not until your case is dismissed.
Start a new life. Let go of the past. Embrace the future.
Bills are still rolling in for the Texas legislative session. Like many organizations, the city of San Antonio has its own priorities. Some of the bills that it's keeping its eye on the Night Beat.
On a typical day, a news photographer is given an assignment or works with a reporter on a story for the day's newscast. Sometimes, though, the best stories are the ones that are unplanned. Luis Cienfuegos introduces us to a local artist that caught his eye.
Luis Cienfuegos, photojournalist for 17 years. This lady caught my eye in this corner, but I couldn't just drive off because I was so curious. I wanted to know what she was really doing. I really wanted to know. You know, photojournalists, you want to know what's going on. Pulled up, and I asked her, hey, what are you doing?
So this is my favorite thing to do in the world, and it's called plein air painting. It's just painting in the open air or outdoors. So
she started talking to me about it, and I asked her, hey, would it be too much to ask for if we can do a quick interview, just me and you, just kind of talk about what you're doing, and I just want to capture what you're doing because I saw you and I thought this was very interesting. And she was like, sure. And as soon as I started interviewing her, it was seamless.
I was just walking around kind of looking for a subject matter, and that little pink umbrella over there next to all those beautiful flowers and that wonderful palm tree caught my eye. So that's kind of the focal point of what I'm doing.
And she says she's done different ones here in San Antonio. So it's not just here, just different parts of San Antonio. She will go and set up and you'll just see her in the corner. So if you see her, honk at her, give it a little hi, and just tell her, hey, have a good day and thank you.
A lot of times people will honk. I know one of the Via bus drivers, so sometimes he'll pass by like that. But a lot of times people will stop, pull over, and ask me what I'm doing.
First things first, you want to get them comfortable. You want to make sure they're comfortable with me there. As soon as we establish that, everything just kind of flows. She was just a perfect interview. As soon as I spoke to her, I knew she would be a good interview and a good storyteller.
There's definitely a lot of visiting that goes on.
This is the corner. I mean, she uses this for her shade. This was her shade. I asked her, what was the meaning behind you standing right here? Why right here? She's like, well, you got to work with elements. The elements, it's plein air painting. When you're doing plein air painting, you're out in the elements. So something like this she used.
And I really love just kind of like the everyday scenes. I just can sort of like tune everything out and hone in on what it is that is going on. Sometimes I feel joy. Sometimes I feel just like fatigue or heat, you know, lots of things, but mostly in the zone. It's my happy place.
As soon as I start seeing the finished product, it totally blew my mind. You could just see everything in detail.
As reporters and photojournalists, we sometimes have to report on the most tragic stories. We usually are able to get the job done and move on to the next story, but Uvalde was different. It was so unbelievable, and for most of us, the worst tragedy we ever had to cover. Our next storyteller tells us what it was like being in Uvalde for weeks at a time, and one of the stories of hope he was able to capture.
So I'm Gavin Nesbitt. I'm a photojournalist at KSAT. I've worked here for 1 year.
Father God, thank you for this day. Thank you for bringing us all together on a day that's going to be filled with emotions.
We're going to have to get a bunch of hands on so it don't get squirty until this one gets tied.
Once we got there, everyone was kind of like, nobody really knew that like it was going to be this big of a deal. The community, they all kind of supported each other in that moment, but when we showed up, there were random welders that were just out there ready to help and set stuff up.
Hands on metal, people coming together.
Come on up off the trailer a little bit more.
To raise a cross.
Brenda, this fell out of the inside of it. Do you want it?
And a community out of darkness.
Any of the family needs to come because we have a gift for them.
Okay.
I don't know if it was my son telling me to build it or God. And it was like someone hit me in the head. I got goosebumps, my hair stood up on my arms, my neck, and I started crying. And I said, I got to build them a cross.
Called me the next day. Dad said, I want to build a cross. He said, I don't know how we're going to do it, but I want to build a cross.
The more hands you could see on the cross as it was being raised, the more people you could see around it, the more like you could see people actually doing stuff. I think that was the idea I had when shooting it.
After a 7-hour drive, welders, and cement pouring, the 15 by 12-foot cross has a permanent home, flying beside the doves.
I'm very proud of it for the way it looks. Other than that, It's going to be a nightmare to me.
He calls this cross his third baby. His first was for Brady, his son who died at 26 in a car accident.
He'd dot you an eye before you knew what happened, but he had a kind soul.
This slot is for the letters to heaven. Kids can write to their friends that they lost, knowing their words will stay safe and untouched.
But I hope they're in a month they're having to shovel them in there because it's so full.
In a town that's turned into a living memorial, growing, changing by the day, Collins believes this cross,
Glad it's in.
made from a father mourning his own son, will make an impact.
By making this cross and living and being by my baby's cross every day, that's what I knew that these people needed.
To grieve, to heal.
We just pray that we can continue to share our love that you've given us in our hearts to all of these families and people that are hurting.
In Uvalde.
We thank you for the safe travel, and we thank you for all the blessings you give us.
I think up to that point, it was all tragedy. But this was like one of those stories of growth. And I think the reporter I was with and myself, I think it honestly helped us a lot more too, because at that time, it was still a hard time. It was still rough to go there.
Up next, the photojournalist of our KSAT Investigates team shows us what it takes. And later, we take you inside Sky 12 and meet the photographer who sees things in a different perspective. You're watching the 2022 KSAT Storytellers Behind the Lens.
Texas winters aren't too bad until they are.
Temperatures drop, it gets icy.
And as we've experienced, it can be dangerous.
So we track every day, every hour, keep you informed. Work, play, your family's safety, an accurate forecast is a must for making those important winter decisions.
And no matter what screen you're looking at or when, KSAT's got you covered.
Be prepared before it arrives. Rely on the experience and teamwork of your winter weather authority. KSAT 12.
And there were holiday lights everywhere. It was magical. As we walked through the giant light tunnel, we saw snowmen that lit up the night, and walkways full of twinkling fish, turtles, and jellyfish all around us. Rhinos and giraffes in the starry safari were so cool, but it gets better. We rode a camel and even saw Santa Claus.
Start your magical journey today by purchasing tickets at sazoo.org.
At Chevy, the holidays mean going places and doing things you love to do with friends and family. Visit your local Chevy dealer, and when you find your red tag, you find your deal. Then make the most of your time with the people who matter most. Find new moments, find new roads. Well-qualified buyers can get 3.99% financing on all 2022 Equinox models, or find your red tag and get $1,500 total cash allowance on all 2022 Equinox models. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
From humble beginnings to esteemed personal injury attorney, through it all, Joe A. Gomez remembers his origins. Nothing has changed. Just remember, Gomez Law fights.
Now there is even stronger protection against COVID-19 and its variants. The updated booster can help keep you from getting seriously ill or ending up in the hospital. Make sure you're up to date with all COVID vaccines.
I'm Dale Keller. I'm a photojournalist, and I work with KSAT Investigates.
I'm Joshua Saunders. I'm a photojournalist with KSAT Investigates. It was a boarding home in Castle Hills. The owner's name was Julie Foster.
In April of this year, a curious thing happened at Methodist Hospital Stone Oak. Staff say a woman later identified as Julie Foster walked in and tried to convince them to release a terminally ill patient to her house on Antler Drive.
She just had a long list of treating sick patients very badly.
August 2017, Castle Hills Code Compliance searched the house after fire personnel assigned to a call there described garbage, filth, rot, and unsanitary conditions inside. A resident said he was one of up to 8 people living at the 2,800 square foot home.
Ripping people off for thousands of dollars, forging checks.
Court records show Foster and Julie Clark, another woman living at the home described as a care employee, forged Chamberlain's signature on multiple checks stealing thousands of dollars from the hospitalized vet. Foster and Clark were indicted for felony theft in June 2019. Both pled no contest months later and were granted deferred adjudication. Foster got her probation terminated and the case dismissed in August 2020. Clark, a felon with multiple theft convictions even before she cared for Chamberlain, remains on probation until this October.
We had a pretty good confrontation with her toward the end of the story. She kind of seemed like she wanted to be on camera just about as much as we wanted to get her on camera. There was a lot of times where she was kind of popping out in front of the camera. Hello. Doing the whole "here I am" kind of thing, "you got me."
Well, obviously you're here for a KSAT. Well, hi, everybody, remember me?
Foster offered little as far as a response to our questions before suggesting that we interview her away from her property.
It was sequenced nicely because she wanted to talk to us, so she decided she didn't want to do that in front of her clients at the home, so she wanted to do it at City Hall, which was a couple blocks away.
Let's go to a park. Where can we go to a park where they have drinks? I got lemonade. Never mind.
There's one off Lemonwood at Castle Hill City Hall. There's a
Yeah, we
park.
can go there.
Perfect.
But after driving the short distance to City Hall, Foster apparently had a change of heart and instead beelined inside City Hall and got the police.
So we agreed to follow her there. Once we got there, she went inside.
We're doing a story
You're
about
criminals.
404 Antler Drive.
You're criminals
What you did to
for
Jamie
treating me this way.
Chamberlain?
Oh, Jamie Chamberlain.
Inside the Castle Hills, there was a couple of Castle Hills police officers in there.
Oh, hello, officer. Are you the one helping?
You said you wanted to come here to do an interview.
No, the park, and I changed my mind on the way.
And she tried to get them to throw us out, not realizing that it's a public building.
Julie, obviously you're aware that if you don't want to talk to the media, you don't have to.
I already did.
That's on you.
Their response to that was, well, Julie, you brought them here. You know, you kind of, it's up to you whether you want to talk to them or not. And she did.
Oh, that's good. All right, well, leave me alone, please, and you can follow me all the way home if you like.
And it was just one of the better unscheduled interviews that we've had.
I'm Dale Keller. A lot of people eat out and they want to know what's clean and what's not clean.
The knives stored on the clean rack.
And you'll be surprised, there'll be places that you would never guess that are as dirty as they are.
An employee making tortillas wasn't wearing gloves, and another worker wiped his hands on a dirty towel and continued to work.
Some that are really bad warrant a walk-in, we would call it a walk-in, where Tim will go walk in and look for the manager and ask them,
what do you want your customers to know about what you guys are doing to improve?
what's the deal with this? And sometimes they're friendly and sometimes they're not.
In the war on drugs,
they are a necessary evil.
Confidential informants are vital. Police claim these cooperating criminals give them the edge.
One of the stories I submitted was a 1-hour special.
It's a KSAT 12 investigative special.
The subject matter was confidential informants and how it can go really bad if you have a dishonest confidential informant. And in this case, that's what we had. We had a CI, as they call them, who, to keep favor with the narcotics officers, he was planting drugs on people. And then those people were then arrested. It turns out that people were being convicted of crimes that they didn't commit.
25 to life. Yes. When you found out that's how much time you were facing, what did you think?
It was like somebody knocked the wind out of me. You can't think, you can't function. The first thing I started thinking is that my parents are old. I'm gonna lose them. I'm the only son. I'm supposed to be taking care of my parents.
If it weren't for this one lady who came to us and we did further research, she fought it. And with her persistence in fighting it, someone finally listened to her in the system.
Ruby had a powerful piece of evidence that she had been set up by the county's informant. These 2017 texts between her and the man who had left the box at her home in which deputies found 2 pounds of methamphetamine.
3 people that were convicted were then exonerated. Those people sat down for interviews with us. One of them was bitter. One of them was just still dumbfounded that it happened to him. He was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And one of the others, she died the day before her exoneration came to be. The confidential informant was, at this point, no longer a confidential informant. He's now being investigated for what he was doing from the same agencies that were hiring him to be their informant. We are the ones that stand for the little guy, those that don't feel like they have any power, and we can use our resources to help tell their stories and hopefully bring justice to what was unjust.
If you have a story idea for our KSAT Investigates team to investigate, scan the QR code on your screen. Or if you want to see more of the stories that the Investigate team has done this year, get out your phone and scan the QR code. And if you haven't become a KSAT Insider yet, scan this QR code. It will take you to our KSAT Insider page. Insider members get access to exclusive content and early access to KSAT events and contests. Coming up, we go exploring, seeing the caves that had these KSAT storytellers impressed. And later on, we go sky high as we take you on a ride with Sky 12.
Spectrum just launched Spectrum One, where Spectrum Internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and unlimited mobile come together to keep you seamlessly connected wherever you are! Why did you switch?
Because Spectrum Internet delivers the fastest download speeds in the nation.
And the advanced Wi-Fi has enhanced security and privacy features that automatically block online threats.
How reliable is Spectrum Mobile?
It's a super reliable service coast to coast.
Switch to Spectrum One and get internet for $49.99 a month, plus free advanced Wi-Fi and one free line of unlimited mobile. Call 1-833-861-4999.
You don't just wake up and decide to change your life in a day. You start by changing how you think, what you eat, how you move. Soon, you realize that you've created something altogether new. A new person. A new future. At University Health, we believe in the power of change, because that's where healthier begins. So what will you change today? During the Red Tag Sales event at North Park Chevrolet, save thousands on over 500 new vehicles in stock and on order. A 2023 Equinox is posted at $23,999. Lease for $340 a month with zero down. A 2022 Silverado Crew Cab is posted at $38,999. Lease for $450 a month with zero down. Make no payments for 120 days. Find new roads at North Park Chevrolet, 10 minutes outside Loop 410 in Castroville, or at npchevy.com.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. Well, your Virgin Mother and Child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace.
A common theme on why photographers like their job is that every day holds something different. They never know what they'll be covering, and they aren't tied to a desk. That is certainly true for the next storytellers. They show us that some days are an adventure, and you have to be prepared for anything.
My name is Adam Higgins. I've been a KSAT photojournalist for 15 years. The story I submitted was the Honey Creek Cave tour. It was a story that Justin Horn approached me with, knowing that I'm a scuba diver and that I'm okay with being in water for long periods of time.
Sarah, what you think?
Amazing.
Adam, how about you, man?
I'm ready to go in. This was an opportunity to be able to go and kind of like something totally different from what we normally shoot and stuff that we normally cover.
So this is our first time kind of going into something like this. Advice?
Keep your head above water where you can. Be careful, go slow.
Couldn't bring the big camera in there. One, not waterproof. We were in water that was over our heads most of the time.
Oh yeah, I can't touch the bottom here.
So we ended up having to shoot it all on GoPros and cell phones.
This section that we're doing today is one of the most decorated parts of the cave. It's 15, 20 feet wide, over your head deep for most all of it. And there's formations that come down from the ceiling into the water, so you have to weave your way through them in a lot of places.
Justin, I'm trying not to kick you. Obviously, if it's pitch black, the camera won't pick up anything. So you had to bring your own lighting and then just trying to get light where you wanted it, to be able to tell the story. There was a lot of what we call natural sound, which is just the interaction between Justin, Sarah, and the cavers that we went with.
When you get up here, push your floaty stuff through, and then I'll give you my hand and I'll pull you through.
You did it.
There are a number of species in the cave, some aquatic, some terrestrial. There are bats in the cave. It's the longest cave in the state.
So Justin and I are 1,500 feet into Honey Creek Cave, about 80 feet below the surface.
And we made it to this fascinating piece of this waterfall here. If you were to keep going, the cave would go on for another 20 miles.
I've enjoyed being able to explore it all these years, and I hope that future generations of cavers can also enjoy it and continue to add to its survey.
We were in the cave 3 hours or so. Water temperature was down in the, we're saying down in the 60s. With the wetsuits on, it was good. Towards the end of it, we were starting to get a little cold. It's under a conservation easement, which means that the landowner can no longer sell the property piece by piece to any kind of developer, and it limits the building, what's allowed to be built on the property.
If they had decided to do the other thing, to sell it, the only people that could have afforded it would have been developers, and we might have houses right up on top of that spring, which would have diminished everything about it.
They have been some of the most incredible owners of any cave in this country.
There could hardly be anything more important to the humans living in this area than to protect our water supply. And by protecting the land over the aquifer, you're protecting the water. And while you're doing that, you're also protecting wildlife.
Being in a place that not a lot of people have ever been, like the public is not allowed in this particular cave. It's on private property. You have to, there was hoops you had to jump through for us to be able to get there. And so it was definitely a very unique opportunity, and one I'm glad I was able to capture.
Hi, my name is Adam Barraza. I've been a photojournalist at KSAT for a little over 1 year. John Paul and I like to work together a lot, and he came up to me, he's like, hey, I have this cave story idea. You want to work with me on it? And I said, cave? I've never been to a cave. So, hey, yeah, I'm always interested in doing something like this.
Right foot goes through there.
Get the harness set up. First, we didn't realize what we were getting ourselves into. We were just like, okay, we're just going to go to a little cave, just shoot around it and get video and, you know, just talk to people about cave conservation.
Right foot. Yeah, good.
Got a real quick crash course on how to rappel.
Yeah, this is pretty loose.
Yeah, you'll want to tighten that all up. And then we went down into the cave.
Take your right hand off the rope and feed it so your face doesn't feed into the rock. Okay? There you go. And that's the hardest flip right there. You just did it.
Once we got down into the cave, it was just rappelling from there and just having fun. Obviously, I can't take a big camera down there, so I had my cell phone.
This is the trashy room.
This is a common sight in a lot of caves and sinkholes. All sorts of trash, some old and rusted, some still new and shiny. All the debris scattered along the path water flows through before recharging Edwards Aquifer, San Antonio's main source of drinking water.
A lot of the rainwater, washes into these caves, and then eventually get to our, drinking water eventually. So we don't want all the trash to be the part of the filtration system. Some of them had like gasoline or gas. So those are really, like toxic waste.
It was really tight squeezes. You really couldn't just be able to move around and be able to figure out where you wanted your shot, where you wanted a good angle to shoot.
Right now, we're about 45 to 50 feet deep in the cave, and this is one of the messiest rooms in the cave. You can see all the trash here, all the different clutter, glass bottles, tin cans. You'll find some random items like this. This appears to be a toy cash register. Then you also have more hazardous things that our water actually filters through before going into Edwards Aquifer. And this right here is toilet bowl cleaner. It actually has danger and poison on it. A lot of this stuff has been here for generations, some of it almost 150 years old.
They've been dumping trash, and it was just a dumping ground. And then it's only recently that really they realized that the importance of cave conservation.
Oh, Lord Jesus. She explained back in the day, it was an out-of-sight, out-of-mind mentality. Using caves as essentially a dumpster was common practice. But now with cave conservation awareness, some private landowners invite crews to help with cleanings.
We had a rope where we were hauling buckets up and down, just, full of trash.
They don't have an exact number, but believe hundreds of pounds of trash was cleared out in just this one day.
One of the things that I learned was, back in the day, people just out of sight, out of mind kind of thing, and it just kind of like opened up my eyes to, even if I just see trash on the floor, pick it up and just throw it away correctly.
I'm Azim Bermia, and I do the morning shift at KSAT. I've been here for almost 7 years, come January. On a normal day basis, I'll walk in and we can either have a story or not have a story. That's the gamble that we take. Car accidents, cuttings, fires, shootings. We actually had been covering something else, and I can't even remember what it was, but I remember we heard that there was a fire breaking out, and I couldn't picture the location. But when I looked it up and I'd seen the restaurant, I knew right away. I was like, dude, that's like an iconic restaurant. Trina and I loaded up and we moved. While we were going that way, we had actually heard on the scanners the fire command call off one of the units because he said that a truck had run into their fire engine. And we pulled up, and like I said, you had the fire, and then the fire engine that had the truck that hit him, and then us, and then people also standing there recording. Like, it was a busy scene. The building ran like this, and they said that the fire was in the attic space, or what they called the attic space. And you could see the smoke coming out, slowly billowing out, and then as the flames grew, it just got out of control. The orange of the flames was glowing hard with the background. The weird part was that it started out so small, and we thought, okay, it's not gonna be much, and then it grew and grew, and yeah, like I said, it was in full flame by the time we knew it. So in this one, it was kind of a vibe. Like I said, it started out real mellow, so yeah, I stood in my spot, got my wides, my tights, my mediums, and then you could sense the urgency that they were getting, so you kind of feed off that. The flames, again, they're hypnotizing, so you kind of try to capture that essence. One of the commands, the battalions was up top. And it was a great shot that I have, and you can just see the Arch logo and the flames and him standing on top, just kind of looking at it like, man, what do we got to do? We just got to let it burn. And it was a powerful shot. When you can get the good shots, like, that's what people will tune in for. When you follow up your story sometimes and you kind of see what the community says about it, man, I didn't realize how impactful or how much this restaurant meant to the people of San Antonio.
Now there is even stronger protection against COVID-19 and its variants. The updated booster is designed to give you the best protection and help keep you from getting seriously ill or ending up in the hospital. Make sure you're up to date with all COVID vaccines, including the updated booster.
Whether you're buying your first home or your forever home, Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union is here for you every step of the way. We've helped thousands of Texans buy new homes with lower rates and fewer fees, putting more money in your pocket, not ours. Let us help you navigate the home buying process with mortgage loan options that meet your needs. Get pre-qualified today. Apply at rbfcu.org. Helping Texans realize the dream of home ownership. It's what we do at RBFCU.
Allergy symptoms are typically severe during the mountain cedar and tree pollen season from late November well into late spring. Symptoms include sneezing fits, itchy watery eyes, cough, and trouble breathing. At Dilly Allergy, we can evaluate for these allergies and provide you with a treatment plan.
Extreme weather, hot weather, cold weather. In Texas, things are always changing. Your weather authority, KSAT 12, knows the reasons why. Expect us to break it all down with Weather 101.
Powered by Kickapoo Lucky Eagle Casino Hotel.
Time is ticking down on the final days of the year-end sale going on now at Ancero Winton Chevrolet on Bandera Road. Get huge savings and low interest rates on most new Chevrolets, like savings of $7,600 on a new Silverado pickup, or buy a 2023 Equinox for only $24,790. Stop by Ancero Winton Chevrolet or check us out at AnceroChevy.com. Year-end savings going on now at Ancero Winton Chevrolet, just outside Loop 410 on Bandera Road.
Spectrum just launched Spectrum One, where Spectrum Internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and unlimited mobile come together to keep you seamlessly connected wherever you are! Why did you switch?
Because Spectrum Internet delivers the fastest download speeds in the nation.
And the advanced Wi-Fi has enhanced security and privacy features that automatically block online threats.
How reliable is Spectrum Mobile?
It's a super reliable service coast to coast.
Switch to Spectrum One and get internet for $49.99 a month, plus free advanced Wi-Fi and one free line of unlimited mobile. Call 1-833-861-4999.
Hi, my name is Robert Samaron. I've been a photog with KSAT 12 for 7.5 years. You know, it can be tough. It's work, but it's an enjoyable work. I mean, I'm not a person who can sit down at a desk. That's like just boring desk to me. So like being able to get out every day and go to any part of the city or any part of the county or any part of the state, depending on what the story is. It's not like, you know, traditional 9-to-5s, and you don't always have your lunch break, or you might get stuck at, you know, a standoff or, you know, something for hours, and so you're on your feet longer. You're carrying gear up and down stairs, you know, there's no elevator or whatever. Most of my stories are like 9 o'clock shows. They're usually live shots.
And we say, good morning, San Antonio!
Challenging is trying to keep it fresh in your head. You know, these things can get repetitive. This one actually just had a lot of the pieces that I liked. It was something that popped up, and they were like, hey, this might make a nice Nat pack. Nat's package is a news story. It has no reporter track. It's allowing the story to breathe through the voice of the people and the sounds surrounding them. It's kind of like the camera is taking you into this little slice of someone's life or this event. Showed up at the Henry B, there was a lot of action, a lot of noise, and it was like basically the whole school. They were celebrating all their students getting into college.
They're anxiously waiting to show off which school they'll be matriculating this fall.
They were so excited for each other, and they were proud of it. It was just like kind of cacophony of like excitement. Usually, like, it's these things that sometimes it's hard to, I guess, find the thread that goes through the story. You know, it had the element of the human connection with the students I interviewed. One of them went to MIT, and the other was going to Penn State. They're first-generation college students. You know, like they're breaking molds in their family. The boy that was going to MIT, this was a big deal for him. This is him breaking the mold of the family. None of the others had gone to college, and for him to get to MIT was like, wow, work it up. All the kids there together, you know, there was a lot of sound. There was a lot of enjoyment. There was, like, you know, people interviewing them in the stand.
I just want to say thank you for
And families getting up and snapping pictures. Those are the things you look for when you're a photographer. You want things that are going to pop. This story was one of those where it's like the best of people for me. It's like, you know, it was infectious to see that, and it was infectious to be there.
My name is Salvador Salazar, and I've been a photojournalist at KSAT for over 24 years. Like we do every day, you know, we come in and we find out what we're going to be doing that day. So Des tells me, hey, you're going to go cover match day. Well, match day is when medical students are on their way over to do their residency. And that's where they find out where they're going to go for the next 3-4 years to do their residency.
I want to deliver babies. Bring them to me. I'm going to Texas Tech, Pavian Base.
They're fun because you know it's going to be a feature. It's not hard news, you know, like we do a lot of the time. So you're going to go and you're going to go have fun with it.
I'm going to find out today where I match and start training for the next 4 years.
Talk to some students, and they're just excited.
It's a long time coming. I've been so excited about this day.
It's a little nerve-wracking, but I'm just excited to find out where I'll be for the next few years.
I'm Dean. It turned out fine. There is no disappointing residency program.
But you really don't know how it's going to play out until you get there and you start getting your interviews and you start getting the video you need. And that's where you start, okay, this will work here, this will work there, I want to use that, I want to do that. And it just comes about.
Boston University!
Going out there, you talk to some students, and they're just excited. You know, a lot of them are going to where, you know, they get 3 choices. A lot of them are going to where they pick.
I matched pathology at Cleveland Clinic.
I matched urology at University of Rochester, New York.
These students have worked incredibly hard, run quite the gauntlet. Today they get to find out the fruits of those labors.
Johns Hopkins. Texas Tech University, Lubbock.
Mount Sinai, Beth Israel, New York
this is the next chapter of their life. This is the end of the beginning.
You scan the crowd, you see who's outgoing, you see who's talkative. It's like, all right, I need to go put a mic on that person. So you just go, you put a mic up on the stage, and so you just go about and you follow that person for a while. You know, once they start going up, calling out the residency or finding out where they're gonna go, you just concentrate on that microphone up top and you start getting their reaction, and it's a lot of fun.
God is so good. I matched my #1 spot. I can't wait to get started. I'm so excited. I'm staying in San Antonio.
I am matched to Tufts Medical Center for Dermatology.
We see these kids and their joy and their smiles and their laughter and their families hugging together. It's the culmination of 4 years of hard work.
I thought it turned out really well. You know, had a lot of nats down with students, interviews with professors about, you know, what they go through trying to get these kids ready, and then interviews with the kids about how excited, about how excited they are finding out where they're gonna go.
We're going to University of Alabama, Birmingham.
When we return, a look at what it takes to be a chopper photographer, and we introduce you to Big Bertha.
They are going to retire her after 100 years of service.
You're watching 2022 KSAT Storytellers Behind the Lens.
How cool is this?
Do I need goggles?
Parents, teachers, my assistant David and I would love to come to your school for Science with Sarah.
So what's this supposed to do?
Let's find out. Our fun and safe experiments can be done at home, but we would love to do them live in your class on KSAT 12.
Wow, just send her an email.
Expect more learning and fun on Science with Sarah. You forgot to put your goggles on.
At Chevy, the holidays mean going places and doing things you love to do with friends and family. Visit your local Chevy dealer, and when you find your red tag, you find your deal. Then make the most of your time with the people who matter most. Find new moments, find new roads. Well-qualified buyers can get 3.99% financing on all 2022 Equinox models, or find your red tag and get $1,500 total cash allowance on all 2022 Equinox models. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Hey guys, having fun? Yeah! The Spurs Youth Basketball League encourages kids to do their best through dedication, positive choices, and
teamwork!
Support the league today when you order from Pizza Hut. Order now and get a large stuffed crust for only $12.99.
Come as a player, leave as a team!
This holiday season, unwrap a new career by starting your cosmetology operator training at SCI. Southern Careers Institute offers training for a rewarding career in the cosmetology field in as little as 10 months. The new year is the perfect time to jumpstart your career training as a cosmetology operator. New classes start January 10th. Visit scitexas.edu today. Southern Careers Institute. Gift yourself an education today.
Hello, my name is Israel Chapa, helicopter photojournalist for Sky 12, and I've been doing this for about 7 years. You know, we usually do the shootings and do a lot of beauty shots, getting to see the action that happens in the city. Every now and then we get a good car chase, trying to figure out the camera angles along with flying with the pilot and kind of seeing how he wants to set up his helicopter and how I set up my camera. But we're in a pretty good groove. From the air, you can actually see what Mother Nature can create. We had a pretty big fire just west of the city of Medina. You know, seeing those big fires is really crazy. It's hard not to look out the window, you know, when I'm trying to run the camera. I guess you'd have to have a pretty strong stomach to stay in the air for as long as we do sometimes. You get a lot of jet fumes, which is not easy after a few hours of flying. You can get a little nauseous and stuff. You got to be able to handle it and, you know, and love it as well. But, you know, flying is an awesome thing in itself. You know, and then getting to do photography behind it, you know, just makes it that much better.
So I shoot a lot of news at KSAT, but I also get to do a lot of sports, from high school football all the way up to NFL games. So every year we travel out to Oxnard to cover the Dallas Cowboys training camp. We try to give a sense of what we're seeing and experiencing out there in Cowboys camp at training camp, and we try to wrap it all up in about a 40-second open.
The Dallas Cowboys and the city of Oxnard welcome you to the 2022 Dallas Cowboys training camp.
Nate Newton, welcome back to the house.
Charles Haley.
Interim play starts now.
When I think of Oxnard, I think of padded practices in this weather. Let's crank it up and let's get going.
I absolutely love this time of year.
I like the shoulders. What you got? Go, 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 go. Feel it. There you go. That's the way to feel it. Right way to feel it.
This is the work that you need.
It is new and there's a freshness that the new season and ready to rock together.
Our next storyteller took his love for UT football and found a unique story about the history and future of Big Bertha, proving once again everything is bigger and better in Texas.
Ken Weezard, KSAT 12 photojournalist for 12 years. My story is about Big Bertha, the big bass drum from the University of Texas.
She is definitely an iconic fixture.
Week after week, bowl game after bowl game, touchdown after touchdown, Big Bertha is taking a beating.
They are going to retire her after 100 years of service.
So this season is Big Bertha's last. And to honor her time at UT and the decades of memories, there was a special going away ceremony.
When they retired her, they had the new bass drum, Big Bertha 2, out there.
We had 500 Longhorn Band alumni plus the 400 members of the Longhorn Band all on the field together with Big Bertha 1 and introducing Big Bertha 2.
You just see it slowly but surely opening up, and you're like, wow, it's huge. They're hoping this one will last another 100 years. I want to do this story because when you think of UT, you think of Bevo, Earl Campbell, Vince Young, Ricky Williams, and Big Bertha. I mean, that's, as a Longhorn fan, that you know those are traditions. For me, my favorite part is I was actually out on the field when they retired Bertha 1 and brought out Big Bertha 2. I was on the field and my son was on the field. So it's kind of, for me, it's pretty cool. I mean, we're part of history because I was going to be out there.
Don't forget to follow KSAT on all of our social media and streaming platforms. If you haven't already, download the KSAT Plus app for access to news of the day and a ton of other video content. Download the KSAT weather app so you can stay up to date on the latest weather. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. And as always, you can find more on our website at ksat.com.
Whenever I do a story and it actually helps somebody out or the community out, you know, you take it to heart. It makes you feel good.
The fact that we get to capture it just kind of just brings it full circle.
It's not your ordinary job. It's not like you know what you're going to get into that day.
We get called different things, cameraman, photographer, but we are photojournalists.
You're not asked to do the same thing on a regular basis.
Some of the stuff I was able to do, I probably would have paid for it, but I get to do it for free and get paid for it.
Thank you for watching the 2022 KSAT Storytellers Behind the Lens. We hope we were able to give you a glimpse in the life of a photojournalist and see how big of a role they play here at KSAT, as well as all the staff behind the scenes. I hope you continue to stay with KSAT as we bring you the stories that matter most in 2023. I'm Melissa Cole. Thank you for watching.
Live from KSAT 12, the Night Beat starts right now.
Days before the end of the year, San Antonio police making an arrest in a road rage murder. The suspect they now have in custody. And a new year brings a new agenda, what the city of San Antonio will be tackling in 2023. We've got a preview for you tonight. But first, new on the Night Beat, a suspect wanted in connection with the shooting